Okay, hello. I am shooting video at the Colonial that has the yellow trim. The very first video that I recorded. I'm following up. So I was asked to show the shingles better. So I'm walking, and if you can see just beyond the trees on top of the roof, those are the shingles. This is a very large house. It is a 3-4 house, and I've been inside. Oh my, I would love to see someone properly renovate this properly renovate the property. See, there's a better shot of the shingles. And so those shingles have been there since May 2017. I mean, the roofing company showed up. It was during the afternoon. They had the big truck with the elevator, and the guys unloaded it all onto the roof, and they even had the boards. They had them in the driveway. I mean, these guys, they were ready to rock and roll. So they unloaded all the supplies, and we were like, okay, they're going to be, roofers. They start first thing in the morning. So since they didn't start that day, and it was late in the afternoon, we knew that they probably wouldn't start. So we like, they're going to be there first thing in the morning. And keep in mind, at that time, the tenants were still living there. Next morning, no roofers. Next week, no roofers. And like I said, now this is September of 2018. So the roofers showed up with the supplies of May 2017. The tenants got so frustrated. Now, keep in mind that they really couldn't park in the driveway because all the other suppliers were in the driveway. And they moved, I want to say the tenants moved, I believe that was August or September of 2017. And the property has been vacant ever since. And there was a break-in, which tend to happen in Detroit and metropolitan area. When properties are vacant, they want the mechanics from the properties. So I don't know what they got. I did call the police about it, and eventually the shield was placed on the front door by the property owner. And that's all that has been done. I was told May of 2018 by one of the investors, yes, we're going to start working on this property in about a month. And he gave me this great plan that they had. And so I told him, I said, look, you all going to have to start maintaining your own properties. I said, my neighbors and I, for 3 years, we maintain the lawn and the grounds of this property and other properties on this block. And that's what so many people don't understand. Vacant properties, it's a quality of life issue. Okay, and that's what these investors do. They buy the properties and they don't even maintain them if they're vacant. You could at least keep the lawn maintained. Hire someone to mow the lawn. Hire someone to keep the shows cleared from the sidewalk. Put an alarm on the property if you can't shield it or secure the windows and doors the best you can. But it's unacceptable to buy a property and just hold on to it because you want to hold wait out for the market to increase. See, that's not building value. And I blame the city of Detroit. I blame the city of Detroit because this wouldn't be tolerated in Dearborn, Livonia, Grosse Pointe, St. Clair Shores. It wouldn't be tolerated any place else. Okay, we have all the same ordinances we have to follow as most other cities or townships. We all pretty much have the same ordinances. However, it's not enforced in the city of Detroit. It's not enforced. And you call, and if they do write tickets, you know, it's just that there are no teeth to it, as they say. You could just continue to rack up the violations, but nothing is done about it. You know, why not, instead of allowing just to continue the property owners, particularly the investors, to continue to rack up the violations, why not say, hey, you must come to court. Start putting a bench warrant on these folk if they have 2 or more violations and they haven't been corrected. You know, that's the thing. Don't allow them to just pay the violations. No, you must make the corrections as well. Because this is a prime example. And I'm going to be highlighting more properties throughout the northeast side of Detroit, northwest side. I eventually get around the southwest. I'm going to show you exactly what's going on in the city of Detroit. And like I said, it's the city's fault. It's the city's fault. The county, you know, the properties that are lost to foreclosure, that doesn't have a mortgage on it. Those properties are moved from the city of Detroit over to the county. So the county has a large inventory of properties. The county also don't maintain the properties. They don't secure them. And you have land bank, Detroit Land Bank. And land banks are formed by the state of Michigan. And Detroit has a land bank, just as other places like Flint. You know, many other large communities, and even small, but that have suffered from economic downturns, they have land banks established. And Detroit Land Bank, their inventory has come from many from Wayne County, but they have over 100,000 vacant properties as well. Okay, and many of those properties were acquired from the county. And I don't know how many the county has right now, but I know it's thousands. You know, if they don't still have 100,000, it's close. And I know the last time I checked, Detroit Land Bank had 100,000 properties. Now, they're so large. Why aren't you hiring companies, local lawn services, to maintain these properties? And if you call them, they'll say, oh, we do. I called for a whole year about a property, and I'm going to show you that property. A whole year. In order to get it on the list or whatever it was necessary. I mean, it was so overgrown, it looked horrible. And as a community, we were maintaining it. But hey, you're getting these properties and they're part of your inventory now. You need to maintain them. And that goes for Detroit Land Bank, that goes for Wayne County, that goes for these individuals that are buying them as investors, as a group or as an individual. You have to show that you care. And if these folks aren't willing, and organizations aren't willing to show that they care, then they need to be held accountable in some way. I don't know if grassroots groups need to get together and file a lawsuit against Land Bank, against the state of Michigan, against the city. Something has to happen. And so you have this large inventory of properties and various entities, and yet if you, as an individual, you can't even get into the game. See, investors will pull their money together, and they have nearly unlimited resources, as opposed to an average citizen. And when they bid on the properties, they can't even get them. And then this is what they do: they let the property sit with doggone shingles on the roof for a year and a half. And the only time they decided to start cutting the grass, see, this is the grass, it's because I told them this in May of 2018. I said, this is your property. You all need to start maintaining your SHIT. That's what I told them. And you see this tree stump here? That tree was dead when the investor bought this property. Huge tree. It extended well beyond the roof of the property, you know, so it easily went up, you know, doggone 100 feet up. I mean, it was huge, and it was dead. And the person that lived here next door at the time, he had been calling the city about this doggone tree. And we had a windstorm, and I was in my home, and I heard this big rumble and fall. I knew it was a tree, but I said, good Lord, where is it? And I looked out. The tree had extended all the way across to the other side of the street, almost up to my vehicle. And went to the guy next door's property, just missed his window. I mean, a tree like that would cost about $5 grand to get cut down easily. Okay, and these investors don't want to put money like that into a tree. So they ignored the blight tickets from the city. The neighbor called, I called. Yeah, they wrote the tickets. In fact, you could see one on the door. You may not be able to see it, but near the shield. They were coming out writing the tickets, but if there are no consequences to it, would, you know, it just be ignored. And so the city ended up footing the bill to cut that tree because it impeded the sidewalk and the street. No one could pass. So the forestry department, city of Detroit, cut it down. So that was $5,000 that the investor actually probably got away with. I doubt if the city charged him for it, you know. And yet there were individuals and families bidding on this house. And once again, an investor got it. And look at it. The porch work isn't done. It needs a roof. Like I said, I'm going to try to interview, find the tenants that were living here at the time when the shingles were placed on the property. Yeah, but they just did just enough to attract a person to rent the place, and that's it. I'm going to walk to... Hi, Tamika. Yeah, how are you? I'm good. And so I'm going to walk around to the back of the property. It looks horrible because the roofers had began to tear some of the shingles off. Yes. This property, like I said, this, you know, this could have been, a family could have lived here. I even knew someone that was bidding on the property, and I'm going to interview them, and hopefully, like I said, all of the persons that would have lived in this property, not invested in it, lived in it, nope, lose the bid to an investor. See, look at this. Look at this mess. And so the investor has had the kitchen floor torn up. And this is how they left it. I don't know when that was done, but I know what the kitchen floor looked like in the nook. You see this roof? Look at the roof. And the tenant said it was leaking so bad that they had buckets all around the house. And see, the city ought to be inspecting properties that are rentals. And yes, it's supposed to be a program where they're enforcing that and they're rolling it out code by zip code. But if someone is calling, the tenants are calling, the neighbors are calling, why aren't you coming to the property and say, look, it is unsafe to live here and we're going to shut this property down? I mean, literally, the tenant said that the kitchen ceiling just fell in, just gave. Like I said, anyone could have been standing underneath. And this is what investors do. No, they don't want to come in and spend, you know, $15,000 to $20,000 on the roof. No, they just patch it and slap it together, or they don't do anything. They, you know, go in and paint and make it look good, enough for a renter, and they're not putting the money into the properties. They're not. You know, Detroit has just become like a pump and dump. We're going to pump up our real estate holdings, and we're going to just put the minimum amount into the properties in order to stick a tenant in there. And as the market increase and we'll be able to sell it for more, we'll put more money in it and put it up for sale and dump it. It's a pump and dump. And it just angers me to know how many, look at this roof, how many individuals and how many families that would benefit from a low market right now. See, this is a window of opportunity. All windows of opportunity has a cutoff point, okay? Detroit inventory will continue to deplete, and that's going to, because the supply is going, the availability is going to go down, the price, the value of homes are going to go up. So this is a window of opportunity for low-income individuals and low-income families and moderate-income individuals to buy a property. And yet, the investors, they are just, you know, they're taking over. You can't even get in the game. So those who may want to buy a property and may even, you know, have managed to, like I said, save their income tax returns or have been saving from their income in order to purchase a property outright. But then the bidding process, you're outbid over and over again. And you better believe that the city of Detroit knows this. You better believe that Wayne County knows this. You better believe that Land Bank knows this. You better believe that the mayor of the city of Detroit knows this. Everyone knows this, but they're not doing anything about it. Why? Because everybody is making money some kind of way. You know, it's the good old boy network. They care about their friends and their families getting in on it. Other than that, they don't care. Yes, it's a very, very large property. And like I said, 3 floors. It's just the inside is just amazing. But you couldn't tell it from the outside and the way it's been kept. It's something has to change, and I'm going to be highlighting all that's going on in Detroit with the properties and how, you know, those that have remained in the city, you know, when there was no growth, no interest in buying properties. Those persons, families, should be able to buy a property now. And no, you shouldn't have to mortgage it. Not when you have over 100,000 properties available in the city of Detroit. Why should you have to take out a mortgage for one? You know, if you can save 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 grand, you should be able to buy one. The investors are doing it. The problem is the bidding process. Those of you who have figured out how to save the money, the bidding process is keeping you out of the game. And that's just, you know, it's not a level playing field. So I'm going to end this video. This is the northeast side of Detroit. And if you have any questions about any of the properties I've highlighted or will continue to do, please send me a message. Thank you.